रूढं महाभीमं गुणाद्रष्टाङ्गरप्रदम् अस्य युक्तं त्रिनेत्रं च कपालकर्णिकाकराम् मुक्तकेशिं ललज्जयः पिबन्तीं रुधिरं चतुर्बाहु समायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् चतुर्बाहु समायुक्तं वराभयकरं स्मरेत् काली काली महाकाली कालिके पापहारिणी धर्मर्थमोक्षदे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते धर्मर्थमोक्षदे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते काली 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 महाकाली कालिके परमेश्वरी सर्वानन्दकरे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते सर्वानन्दकरे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते सर्वानन्दकरे देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते
Hi guys, hope you all can hear me. I'm trying out StreamYard after a long time, so let me know if the audio and all is fine. Yes, Nina, we are live. Okay, my camera seems to be mirrored in the video, right? Let me know if that is the case. I'll just change it from here. I hate it. Let me know if it's all right now. Now, audio, video both seem to be fine. Yeah. Okay. So there is something called recency bias in sports. It always comes up in every sport that whoever is a cricketer who just retires, or whoever is an MMA fighter who just becomes a big champion, or just retires as a champion, everyone seems to say that, oh, see, this was the greatest of all time. Anyone who just played 5 years back is the greatest of all time. And that also happens in politics. So for the last few months, we have been discussing in detail what CPIM has done. What Trinamool does, everyone knows pretty much because it's happening right now. So in between, Congress seems to be playing the role of an innocent puppy. They were never the victims, or they were never the perpetrators in West Bengal. If at all they did anything, it was against those terrorist Naxals. That is the impression they have been giving around to people. Now, everything that you are seeing today happen at the hands of Trinamool happened in some way or the other at the hands of CPIM in a lesser degree. And everything that you know today, because of my channel and many other authors, that CPIM has done, has also been done by Congress in just a little bit lesser degree. That's all. So in a sense, there's no one party or one ideology that's to blame here. It's just the inherent, I guess, Bengali violence, culture of violence that is at stake here. That is what we are going to talk about basically. And yeah, Madam Political Scientist is going to join us in a short while, and Professor Christoph Lieselot, Mr. Sociologist, is here. Today I have a document with me. It's the people who are in the thumbnail as well. The pictures of those people are only, let's say, about 8 or 10 people have been shown in the thumbnail. I have the names of all the people who were killed during 1970 and 1971. All sons of Bangladeshi Hindu immigrants who came because of partition, because the places I'm going to mention are all in those neighborhoods only, okay? Netaji Nagar, Toliganj, Regent Colony, Azadgarh, etc., okay? Anyone in South Kolkata knows these people, knows these places. So, and the pictures you see in the thumbnail, each and every one of them are below the age of 30, and all of them are CPIM or were CPIM workers, people whose relatives are all alive today. And they were getting beaten up or getting threatened by both Congressy people, Congressy goons, local Jadavpur police station OC, an infamous person called something Mohanty, then the Congressy chief minister, and then CRPF forces also, because Congress was in center at that time. Now, look at these people. Look at the faces, okay? Whatever you can. See, all kids, right? Now, I was talking to a person who knew all of these people, okay? And all of them were basically beaten to death or murdered mysteriously, or they were hit with the butt of a rifle, then dragged away through the roads, or were stabbed with a bayonet, etc. Those kinds of things. Now the names are so that at least someone documents these things, and some people remember. I hope their relatives watch some days, because their relatives, their descendants are all either CPIM workers or CPIM supporters or Trinamool party workers or Trinamool party supporters, both of whom do these exact things again now to other people. That's the hilarious part about Bengal. So, Abani Chakraborty, Naktola, killed by CRP, 31st August 1970. Mrityunjoy Sen, Jadavpur, Nakshal, killed by Nakshals, 2nd May 1970. স্বপন গাঙ্গুলি বিজয়গড়, প্রদীপ দাশগুপ্ত মৌর্য অ্যাভিনিউ, বাবুলাল রায় বিজয়গড়, পরিমল দত্ত আজাদগড়, জয়ন্ত চক্রবর্তী অশোকনগর, সত্তার সিং জয়া ফ্যান ফ্যাক্টরি, 31st March 1971. বলাই দাস বিজয়গড়, দুলাল দাস নেতাজি নগর, কল্যাণী গুহ বিজয়গড়, বাবলু সিনহা বাঘাযতীন, শ্রীনাথ প্রধান চালিয়া রোলিং মিল, শম্ভু মুখার্জি রিজেন্ট কলোনি, প্রদীপ মুখার্জি আজাদগড়, ডালিম বসু নেতাজি নগর, দীপক নিয়োগী নেতাজি নগর, চন্দ্রশেখর চক্রবর্তী নেতাজি নগর, সুধীর দত্ত বিজয়গড়, ভবতোষ দত্ত আজাদগড়, শৈলেশ্বর ব্যানার্জি শান্তিনগর, শ্যামু রায় শান্তিনগর, লক্ষ্মী দাস বড়ুয়াপাড়া, তপন মজুমদার অশ্বিনীনগর, বাসুদেব সাহা যাদবপুর, খোকন দে শ্রীকলোনি, শান্তি ঘোষ শ্রীকলোনি, অমিয়বালা পাল বিজয়গড়, বলাই দাস ব্র্যাকেটে পুষ্প বেঙ্গল ল্যাম্প, শ্যামাপদ সাহা যাদবপুর, রঞ্জিত সুর গান্ধী কলোনি, প্রমথ ঘোষ গান্ধী কলোনি, সমর মুখার্জি গান্ধী কলোনি, লক্ষণ ঘরামি ফায়ার সার্ভিস কর্মী, killed by CRP, 5th September 1971, খোকা বসু আনন্দপল্লী. Those are the names, and we have plenty of articles to discuss as well with me. And the interesting part is that these people, the distinction needs to be made between these people and the Nakshals are because the Nakshals said that fuck the state. We want to get rid of anyone who remotely reeks of statism. These people were saying we want parliamentary democracy. We just believe in something weird called communism, which hadn't really been tested as of that point, at least, because the prime minister himself was a goddamn Fabian socialist. So how much did they really have a problem with leftist politics? So this was not remotely about ideology, right? Because these people want to participate in parliamentary democracy, but fuck them anyway, because they are my opposition. That was the Congressy fascist nature. Now, let's welcome Mr. Sociologist.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, and मोहब्बत की दुकान खोल रहे हो क्या?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, मोहब्बत की दुकान imposed emergency, did so many riots.
Yeah.
इनका मोहब्बत बहुत अच्छा है यार, बहुत ज़्यादा मोहब्बत है.
So you see, everything we were talking about communists was done by Congressy people as well. So where is the issue here? Is it specifically Abrahamic thoughts or communist thoughts or just Bengali thoughts? What is going on here? Let's diagnose this.
Well, elections have been being rigged in Bangladesh for a very long time now. So this ethnic so-called Bengali group, if we can call it that, even though many of them have Arabic names and all that, these people seem to be predisposed to violence for some reason. Now,
right,
like why that is the case, whether it's because of an ideology or whether it's a failure of the state in every possible sense of the term.
Yeah, because even economics can't be blamed here. Bengal was not in shambles back then.
It wasn't in its worst. Like right now, you can rationalize the violence using thinking, that theek hai, there are no jobs, so political violence is an actual job, right?
Right.
So the problem here is that if you think in that manner, then the 60s can't be rationalized. 60s and 70s weren't horrible, they were pretty bad, but not horrible in that sense. God knows. I've heard even Bidhan Rai rigged his elections, so I have I'm starting to lose faith in Rabindranath Thakur, kind of.
Why?
I don't know, man. I mean, we're supposed to all be harmonious and nice to each other, but dekho kya ho raha hai. I mean, we'd like to welcome Audrey Trashcan.
Yeah. Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, so since you were mentioning all the communists who were killed by Congress,
Hmm.
I just actually remembered Safdar Hashmi.
Hmm.
Uh, as far as I recall, he too believed in the communist ideology, and he was, I think, openly murdered by Congress. He
Hmm.
was a theater artist, I believe,
Yeah.
among other things. And
Yeah.
so I just remembered that. So I don't think this is a issue specific to Bengal either, because Safdar
Okay.
Hashmi wasn't connected to Bengal, but
Hmm.
he received the same fate as all the children that you mentioned. He wasn't a child, but
Hmm.
all
Yeah.
the young people that you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, why did they hate communists so much? Just because they were an opposition? Because ideologically they could have been bros like they are today. Hello.
Yeah, I'm there. Okay. Mm, the thing is that what if it's what if it's a thing to certain thing, something to do with state control, excessive state control,
Right.
like uh, both the Congress and the left, they both represented, they were both Soviet funded in some
Yeah.
ways, right?
Yeah.
And one was actually closer to the Chinese, but even then, apparently that whole CPIML rift and all that stuff happened because some people wanted more, wanted the Maoist way, some people wanted the Khrushchev Stalin way, whatever. Yeah.
Hmm.
So even then, ideally they're both advocating for a very strong state.
Hmm.
Itna strong state ki the state can pick you up and murder you and kill you and do whatever the hell it wants with your body.
Right.
That kind of a state, like, and both of them have practiced it. So it was, I guess, more like imagine this, like, has the BJP ever actually imposed emergency? Has the BJP, the Sangh, actually advocated for a completely quasi-fascist, kind of control over media, state, all organs of the government? It has never done that. Like, it has
Hmm.
always operated within the democratic confines, so to speak, right? Uh,
Yeah.
no matter what, how bad you think the Sangh or BJP is, they never advocated for things like AFSPA. They never
Hmm.
advocated for things like uh, things that allowed the police to basically take you, whenever it wants, take you anywhere it wants, and murder you, whatever. It's
Hmm.
mainly the Congress and the left, which were both socialist parties, that created this, the strong state model, if
Hmm.
I can say that. And maybe that's what I was saying to you a while back, that it's perhaps a recreation of feudalism. Like, if you read Foucault's Discipline and Punish, in a way,
Hmm.
um, Foucault starts with how a man who was a heretic, like if you guys have watched Braveheart, right?
Hmm.
In the end, Braveheart, who goes against the state, who goes against the British, the English,
Hmm.
he is taken and slaughtered. He's beheaded publicly. He's drawn and quartered, like his intestines are taken out, murdered, brutally, tortured in public, right? That kind of a thing, that kind of a spectacle.
Hmm. Hmm.
You have something very similar happening in Japan and other parts of the world, where you know where punishments are really grotesque, where
Hmm.
people are killing, where monarchs are killing people, just because they don't like their face or something, right?
Hmm.
And or maybe they have just asked for a lower tax rate or something like that, or higher wages or something.
Hmm.
So given all that, um, it's possible that socialism is a resurgence of feudalism,
Hmm.
and not something better. Like, remember the stages of Marxism, right? Like, historical materialism,
Hmm.
feudalism, primitive communism, feudalism,
Yeah.
capitalism, and social communism, dictatorship of the proletariat, followed by communism.
Hmm.
But it would seem to me that this is just this that's just a lie. Like, it's basically the same feudal structure, honed by newer people.
Hmm.
And the liberal aspects of democracy are gone. The free market is gone. That's one thing that's common between the CPIM and Congress both.
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Excessive state control,
Yeah.
which could not do in America till a few years back, but now they're practicing in America as well. So think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. What's hilarious is that this excuse of strong state is used to only and only kill your opponents. It's not done used for any good purposes, which is why the libertarian, forever libertarian argument that don't give so much power, they will misuse it. It's pretty much a guarantee. And
No,
hence,
it's there
yeah, go
precisely.
on.
I agree with you. I agree with you absolutely.
Now we will get to your basically a demand of central policing, which kind of is tested by Congress and CRPF here. But first, I want to get to, therefore you see, uh, when in, let's say in the last stages of the British government, when especially Maharashtra, Chennai and Kolkata is perpetually on fire because of revolutionary activities, so many freedom fighters, etc. At that point, the British were pretty much basically fascist. You know that, right? In how much they were
Precisely.
spying over people, etc.
Precisely.
And I was reading from Janki Bakle's research on Savarkar. She is, of course, apologizing for Gandhi and saying that, yes, Savarkar is not that bad as you think, but he's not really, he's no Gandhi. That's her, the essence of her argument, essentially. But even trying to prove that Gandhi was actually a pretty good freedom fighter, she gives evidence after evidence after evidence from all British Museum documents, British Archive documents, Indian National Archive documents, and all documents of Maharashtra Police, Central Police, the local district police of anyone near Savarkar, all of them surveilling each and everything remotely related to freedom movement. Okay, not just Savarkar, not just Savarkar's family. Anyone who randomly is having tea in front of a tea shop and discusses that, yeah, that day that freedom movement, that freedom rally was really great. Immediately, randomly, that guy gets arrested and then gets thrown into jail. Okay. And other police officers have documented this, saying that, see, these are the steps we are taking. We are doing such a good job. So Bengal was therefore, which was filled with freedom fighters, was facing fascism from British government, then Congress government, then CPIM, now Trinamool. So not only is the general populace used to basically getting fucked, but more importantly, the system is just meant for fucking the populace now. There is now should we talk like Naxals and ask for a different system, because the system seems to be screwed against people, because the strong state argument is not getting misused everywhere else like this, only in, I guess, Bengal and Bihar.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
a
would
point.
strongly argue. No, I would strongly argue against the Naxalite argument, for the simple reason that it does not offer us a better alternative. It offers us a far worse alternative, which is far more totalitarian. What does Naxalism basically achieve? it you know how they Charu Majumdar and all these failed politicians, how they described the zones which were occupied by Naxals, right? They described these zones as zones which were deaf and blind. Okay, these were blind spots.
Okay.
Why? Because the police could not enter it. Nobody from the normal world can enter it, because they have completely captured that ground and turned that entire spot into a blind and deaf spot, which no one else can enter safely. Okay, what are they doing in that blind and deaf spot? Are they really bringing people's freedom? They are not. They are imposing their own foreign Chinese communist ideology.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all that they're doing. So honestly speaking, the Naxalite alternative is far worse than this whatever dismantled version of democracy we have in the West Bengal.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the atrocities that Naxalites do. There is no one to hold them accountable for it. Okay,
Yeah.
because they declared those zones as, liberated zones. I think that was the term that they used. So they described those liberated zones as spaces which are beyond the realm of the Indian law. Okay, so
Yeah.
there they can do whatever the fuck they want, whatever the hell they want, they can do there. So and they do indeed commit the most heinous crimes in those zones. They
Yeah.
don't, and I really hate this logic, that some people give, that no, Naxals only attacked police officers. So what if they even attacked only police officers? Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah.
I mean, Number two, that's a lie. They attacked ordinary tribal people as well. They attack ordinary human beings who are not police officers as well, on the pretext that they are police informants. So
Right.
just like how communists attack anybody on the pretext that they're bourgeois, they want to attack Robindranath, call him a bourgeois Kobi. They want to
Yeah.
attack you, call him a bourgeois YouTuber. Just call anybody bourgeois, and that gives you a free hand to attack anybody. Similarly,
Yeah.
Naxals do the same by calling anyone and everyone a police informant. Bourgeois to ora bolbei, they will anyway call everybody bourgeois except themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they call any person that they want to attack, they brand him as a police informant, and they will kill him brutally. So I
Yeah.
really
And
believe that the Naxalite way is far worse than what we have. At least here, everything is in the open. At least some media will go to cover it. There, the only so-called media is Nandini Sundar, who's going to whitewash them. So what's the point?
And that is the exact apologia that Congress supporters also give for Congress for doing these things. That they were just killing Naxals, and now we find out that no, there were many other people as well.
Yes,
I think
indeed.
Buddhadev Bhattacharya Archives has a nice point. Somebody should read Hajar Churashir Ma. Such
Yeah.
whitewashing. I agree.
Who whitewashed whom there? What was whitewashed?
I mean, Naxalism was whitewashed by that author, that famous author. I keep forgetting. Hajar Churashir Ma. And I think there was a movie and all that. Mahashaya Devi.
Nabaruner Ma, na? Nabarun Bhattacharya Ma.
This is a family business for most people, so
Yeah.
it's not surprising.
Yeah.
You inherit ideology.
Yeah.
Mahashaya Devi is a big fan of, was a big fan of She Who Cannot Be Named.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in 2011, etc.
So,
Wait, check this out.
we have a super chat, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, take it. I'm
Okay,
just going to
thoughts
share the
on
New York Times article.
Revanna issue in Karnataka, is it comparable to Sandeshkhali in a nature of crime, and does it? So what you have to understand, whoever this is that Sandeshkhali, what Madam Political Scientist said about liberated zone, Sandeshkhali was kind of like that under Sheikh Shah Jahan. Okay, you cannot imagine what used to go on there. They used to put saline water. So imagine you are a farmer, poor farmer with a small bigha of land where you grow some paddy. They'll suddenly pump in saline water and they'll destroy all your paddy and your land, and then they'll dig it up and make it into a kind of a small pond where they grow various fish. This is what they did by force. Can you imagine? Like, this is a bit like the 80s Gunda movies that people used to act in. Okay, they could take
This is
your
no
land.
different from Neel Chash. This is no different from Neel Chash, the indigo cultivation,
Exactly.
which ruined our lands.
Precisely. Even worse in many ways, because Nilchash you could recover, maybe, I don't know, maybe many years after Nilchash you could recover, but now salinated lands you can never recover. Can you imagine? The topsoil is totally destroyed, right? And not just that, they not only took the lands, they took the women. So yeah, and imagine the police have nothing. So Revanna is right now, as far as I know, is running away from the country and all that. But Jahangir was very much there till he attacked ED officers. He was ruling like Jahangir only. Shah Jahan, sorry, same old. It's all the same anyway. So yeah, he was ruling like Shah Jahan. He was building his Taj Mahal. He was, like, he ruled like a Badshah or something. And that is the problem. That is the biggest problem with comparing something like Sandeshkhali, which people do not. You see, somebody in Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, they cannot imagine what Sandeshkhali is. Okay, come to Bengal. Anyone who says that Bengal, this is happening in Karnataka, tell them, buy a ticket, come to Bengal, stay in one of these places, stay in South Chobbish Pargona, stay in one of those remote villages. Okay, see how the people are living. If you can call them living, basically they are zombies at this point. Okay, so this is the thing. Anyway, that's the super chat question.
Yeah.
The New York Times article you shared was interesting. It had a lot of.
Let me just give the headline. Okay, it's gone. When you talk, I'll share it again. So anyway, now Now Congress and CPIM are friends for about, let's say, since the 90s, right? Or from the late 80s or 80s.
Congress and the left, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean they had a common agenda. I think post like Indira Congress, and they tried to team up. Yeah, ऐसा कुछ हुआ था 70s में. Then I think post emergency, I think she started. There was this unsaid. ये जो अभी setting बोलते हैं ना CPM के लोग कि TMC has a setting with BJP at the center. So this was done wholeheartedly by the CPM and Congress back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, right? They said control West Bengal, Kerala, जो भी हो, and Kerala में फिर भी they fought elections and sometimes against each other. But
Yeah.
in West Bengal, Congress leaders totally gave up after the 77.
And hilariously, they that is why Mamata Banerjee left, and now Mamata Banerjee has to is now again facing opposition from those same friends. It's CPIM and Congress absolutely allied, and in some places, Tamnomoy Bhattacharya of CPIM is giving Ashirwad to the Trinamool actress, who are apparently basically openly declaring that we are fighting the election together this time, Trinamool and CPIM, just because they need to prevent Fashibad in West Bengal.
matlab, as if we never knew what Fasiwad was before this.
And these are the days that CPIM kids have forgotten or don't know about, or now the CPIM dadus want them to forget. Dhruv Rathee doesn't even know about these things.
So here's an interesting fact. Like when they teamed up in 2016, what happened to the votes was the CPIM did not get much votes.
Okay.
The Congress got a bunch of votes because see, the CPIM was killing Congress people, TMC people for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So Congress people didn't forget that. Congress hated CPM. So Congress never Congress workers didn't transfer their votes to CPIM, but CPIM people transferred their votes to Congress. That's why Congress got a large number of seats in 2016 as the opposition party. So that's the funny thing. Like it's all about, again, it's short memories, so it makes sense.
Yeah. CPIM supporters transferred their votes to Trinamool as well.
Nahin, abhi, see, so the Hindu, like if you look at BJP's core cadre base right now, majority of them are ex-CPIM workers.
Yeah.
But they didn't know.
Hence
See,
the
so
violence.
they're not commies. Like they're just CPIM. Like they just they didn't have anything better to do. That's why they joined BJP. So that's there, and like to escape from TMC's torture, yes, they joined the.
Yeah. Now
I just thought I'd add a small point here. That is, how we were discussing about how even the Congress used to be equally atrocious, and then the CPIM used to be equally atrocious. Same with the later new and improved version of CPIM. But I just feel that we have already discussed how this can be attributed to strong state and all of that. But I believe that if we can imagine the strong state as more of a form rather than the content being the political party and the political ideology informing it, then I think we should differentiate between parties that are dedicated to the country, to Bharat, versus parties that are dedicated to some kind of foreign ideology. Okay. And I think that is where we can make a crucial difference and understand how differently the two parties are likely to behave once they come in power. Because if it is a party which is the fundamentals of which is patriotism, then that automatically the very orientation of that party will be to serve the people, okay, and to serve the country. Now, I am not saying that everything that Hindu Nationalist Party does is always perfect, always right. Aisa nahi hota hai. Of course, there might be many errors and whatnot, but just look at it. In just less than a decade, I think Modi's reign has not even been. Has it been a whole decade? Yes, it's just been a decade, right? But within less than a decade, he built toilets across the country, provided greater supply of electricity, water, all the basic things, which for 7 decades was not accomplished. I think this in itself shows what the priorities are based on the party ideology. If the party ideology is first Bharat and then everything else, then that party will behave differently, even if it is even if it is in power. Okay, so even if it has control over state power, it will not behave in a fascist way if the priorities of that party is to serve the people through patriotic means. And on the other hand, if the priority is not patriotism, if the priority is not the country, then the party will be, self-aggrandizing and mainly focusing on increasing its own power. And once that becomes the aim, then obviously atrocious activities will be performed by that party. I just feel that, blaming the state is a very easy thing to do, and blaming strong state is a very fashionable thing to do. But I believe that be it state or strong state, these are just the outer framework. What matters is the content inside, and that is where the crucial difference comes about. I believe, yeah.
And as for Congress's own ideology, it was obviously sold in a different way, but what it was completely different. A.O. Hume made it as a safety valve to prevent further next revolt of 1857 like situations. But wouldn't you say that since most people did not know those things or did not look at it that way, they just saw the Congress Party as a nationalist movement and a nationalist congressional space, a platform. Therefore, they too were as nationalist as possible, but they just seem to be doing evil things repeatedly. So
I
nationalism was
absolutely
not really an antidote.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree that yes, people who supported the Congress, until I'm not talking about this family, the dynasty right now, but other than them, P.V. Narasimha Rao, was he not nationalist? Was he not patriotic? Right. So there are many Congress leaders you'll find who are, even Bidhan Chandra Rai, they were all patriotic people. So yes, I believe you're right that, the intent behind creating the Congress may have been different, but people who joined it with an honest heart of serving the country. That's true. But I just feel that if we are going to talk about atrocities, state-sponsored atrocities, then it is true that BJP's track record in that case is way cleaner than Congress. Not just because BJP is relatively new, but also because I believe that the fundamental underpinning ideology of BJP is different. It's patriotism. Yeah.
Interesting point from Audrey Trashcan here. Professor Lies-a-Lot, what do you think of this argument?
No,
I've not made up my mind about it as of yet.
It's making me rethink my argument again. That there's one thing that's common between the left parties. Any left party in India, look at it. Like, be it the Kashmiri parties, be it Congress, CPIM, be it Samajwadi, Namajwadi, BSP, जो भी हो. BSP अभी थोड़ा change हो गया, but anyway, most of these political parties, they were like treated like royalty by the foreign press. Now, whenever the foreign press treats you really well, when Derrida comes to your book fair, when your leaders meet with foreign commie leaders and people take huge pictures and act like you've done something great by meeting the Nikita Khrushchev or who the Cuban dictator, whatever, Castro or somebody, right? Then you have to wonder whether it's a neocolonial ideology at play. Right. In that sense, look at there's a continuity. Look at what you're all drawing from. Like, you mentioned the atrocities by the British government, which was obviously a foreign entity controlling us, so makes sense. Uske baad, what Madam Political Scientist is saying ki Indian party hi to nahi tha. Like, all of these parties were controlled by foreign interests. So them killing a few thousand people, not building basic toilets, railways, connectivity, but stealing money from everyone, ye to normal baat hai. I mean, they were, the British actually, I guess, were less corrupt than even Congress and CPIM in some ways. Like, at least
I
the
would
British
say so. British were clearly advertising what the fuck they wanted. They wanted to oppress India.
Correct.
They never said we want India to be a safe zone.
Civilized banana hai.
Yeah.
3 गुना लगान दो, अच्छा स्कूल कॉलेज बना लो.
हाँ, तो सिविलाइजेशन सिविलाइज करने के लिए डंडा मारना पड़ेगा, तो डंडा मार रहे थे, हो गया.
हाँ, But these guys, they just stole stuff, man. These guys were like chindi versions of Ghazni se aata tha na every few years, Mahmud of Ghazni. They were
Yeah.
like Mahmud of Ghazni, okay?
Yeah.
And they were supported by the foreign press. Like, that's the biggest difference you see between a Bharatiya party and a non-Bharatiya party.
Right.
That whenever you see a Bharatiya party, foreign press is mad. Whenever you see a non-Bharatiya party, foreign press is very happy. वो meme है ना, एक one dog is like really nice and then becomes a werewolf. Like वो werewolf phase आता है जब मोदी आता है. Not just Modi, any Vajpayee, Modi, whoever, even Narasimha Rao maybe, okay, it's a problem. Yeah.
Now, I think we have stumbled upon something.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have stumbled upon something very interesting here. Actually, there possibly hasn't been done much research on, which is that these parties we have known from different kinds of things that have come out that more or less they had some outside funding. Congress was running the government itself with the collaboration of the British government up until the 60s anyway. And then in the 60s and 70s, when that is the point I was trying to make, that Nina made here, that in the 60s and 70s at least Congress was seemingly patriotic, right? Even when they were seemingly patriotic, even then they were going around killing all these people. So were they given, possibly given direct or indirect instructions that, see, this is the job you need to do, and in order to fulfill this job, whether it's doing the bidding of China or Soviet Russia or England even, it doesn't matter how many people you kill. Which is why, is that why then BJP is not having to kill so many people to execute so many things?
If Madam Political Scientist does not take this, I'll take it for a second. So what I have to say about this is, I think it's not about them being commanded by maybe the foreign power that you kill 100 people. Okay.
No, not
It's
directly.
more like, you can do whatever the hell you want as long as
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. In a way that you see, we were buying Russian missiles, Russian planes, Russian everything, right? So and we had all this, like, basically, even if we didn't want it, we were very much a part of the Cold War in different ways, right? So
Yeah.
And then Indira was palling with everyone on the left side, right? So if you think about it, it was like any overlordship, like a feudal overlordship, right? That just remember how the Mughals and the British used to rule. Like, Queen Elizabeth did not come directly, and Queen Victoria did not come directly and say that, let's kill a bunch of people. No, she was enjoying her nice Kohinoor Hira and all that stuff in England.
Yeah.
But the guys who were here, who were plundering the wealth, they were doing the wrong things, right? And they so it's like a neo-colonial. Instead of colonial, it's neo-colonial. That's
Exactly.
the point. And I think that makes sense. Like if your Russian overlords are telling you that just buy our planes and do whatever the hell, and we'll handle the international pressure. We anyway have agents in every major university and everything,
Right.
anyway. And we have agents in the press. The press is basically controlled by you anyway, right? और जो controlled भी नहीं है, वो basically पैसा खा के control हो जाता है. Like either you directly control the press, or we'll pay them indirectly through editorial oversight and all, and we'll control the press. And that makes sense. Like, we were still a colony. I think we were a colony till 2014 only. Okay. And in some ways, I feel, considering what academics are doing right now, they are feeding off our taxpayer resources, taxpayer money to write stuff against Hindus. We are still a colony in some ways.
That is literally, I mean, word for word colonialism, because what happens in a colonial situation is you pay for your own oppression. You are paying the salaries of the bureaucrat who is fucking you. That is the exact system we have today.
The same can be said for the
jizya works as well.
Yes, and the same can be said for the scams that started just a while before 2014, which is why the Congress government fell to a large extent. So what were we basically doing? It is no different from the drain of wealth that the British did to us. Okay, just in a new and improved form. So these scams were ultimately draining us, draining the economy.
Yeah.
So so how is this any different from colonialism?
Yeah.
It's just colonialism under a new name. Yeah.
Yeah. colonialism by different ways with different methods.
Colonialism with extra steps. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we have the paper documenting the infamous Boranagar Koshipur mass massacre. Anyone who has grown up in 90s, 80s knows. We actually had forgot to mention these things, but yeah, it kind of had gone on in my mind that it was mainly Naxals. Then I remembered. But you see, today Dhruv Rathee, anyone who sees Dhruv Rathee videos anymore, send him this video, okay? Send him this live stream and remind people what Congress was doing. And actually, people outside West Bengal know a lot of Congress's shenanigans. They have forgotten about Congress's shenanigans in West Bengal because it was such a long reign of CPIM. But even before that, Congress was pretty early to the party of violence anyway. And therefore, Mr. Sociologist, I shudder to think, will Shubhendu have to do the exact same things, or will he end up doing the same things with the excuse that this is how the society is? Because Congress probably did not want to kill all these people. CPIM did not really want to kill all these people. Trinamool, Mamata Banerjee did not come to power thinking that I'll kill as many CPIM fuckers as I can. Then they end up doing the same things.
no, BJP can't afford to be fascist. This is the fun thing that people, people don't get. Like people
Extra scrutiny.
Yeah, because BJP has no friends internationally in the media and nowhere, right? So
yeah.
Look at Tripura. Acha, a funny thing. How many people could even point out Tripura on a map before 2017? How many people knew that there were gigantic scams by the CPIM in the teacher recruitment thing and they all got cancelled by the Supreme Court? How many people knew about all this? Modi did not even look at a Rafale and be like, he's stealing Rafales. Okay, or whatever. But Tripura mein pura ka pura hazaro, there are thousands of jobs that were sold by the CPIM, in a very similar manner as the TMC did, right? Many of the recruitments were declared illegal. Even here in West Bengal, if somebody can find a link, please, I've been looking for the link for 2 days. 2,200 jobs were declared illegal by the High Court in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and these recruitments were by the CPIM. So, did any of you ever hear this? You guys know about Vyapam scam. You guys know about some Revanna, some whatever. Somebody does BJP. Somebody farts in the wrong direction. You guys get to hear about it, right?
Yeah.
But you guys were never even aware that CPIM killed CPIM killed so many Dalits. You guys didn't know.
Yeah.
BJP worker looks at a Dalit wrong, you will put him on a cross and crucify him.
Yeah. And convert him after death. See, you haven't heard of Nanur, you haven't heard of maybe I think Dr. Gorbeta Keshpur.
Yeah, the other day, the live stream the other day, I think he was listing so many massacres, the real lynch mob, right?
Yeah.
So you guys never even heard of all this. We grew up, when many of us, if you ask a 20-year-old today whether the CPIM is bad, they didn't know. They don't know because they weren't aware of the Shingur, Nondigram, all the stuff we grew up listening to, right?
Yeah.
So this is the problem with the Indian people. And another thing, the reason why people like Dhruv Rathee still appeal to a large number of young people is they don't remember a time before 2014. They will not. Most people don't remember the emergency, right?
No, let's get to.
I would like to add. I would like to add a small point, Neeraj, and I mean, hold on to the thought though. Yeah. There is this book called Elite Parties, Poor Voters. I think that's the name of the book. It's by Tariq Thachil. And in that book, he categorically statistically shows that in states where BJP has come to power, riots have reduced. Political violence has reduced. Okay. There's a person named Tariq Thachil, and he has literally shown this in his book. I recommend your viewers to also read this. He's not a person associated with the BJP or anything like that, but he has actually shown that wherever BJP has come to power, riots and political violence has been less. So this is track record speaking for itself.
Mr. Sociologist, why do you think this is going on? Because of just patriotism, Hindu values? Is it really as simple as that? Were all Marxists and libertarians always wrong? That wrong?
No.
Libertarians कौन सा power में लिबर्टेरियंस तो पावर में आए ही नहीं, कब आए वो
Because
पावर में?
libertarian argument is also that there's no role of culture, divinity, religion, anything. Everything
वो
is
हो
just
सकता है,
happens.
but libertarians never came to power enough to do anything like
No, but they would
you know.
also disagree with the argument that BJP is able to do good things just because of Indian or Hindu values. There is something else, economic at in behind the scenes that we are not really being able to put our fingers on. That's what both
Okay.
commies and libertarians would say.
Libertarians will never really come to power, so forget all that. So my point is, I'm sorry, Neerajan, sorry to burst your bubble. Libertarian नहीं आएंगे, कोई भी state में, कोई भी country में नहीं आएंगे, because
No, but his
cannot
question is basically.
you cannot divorce culture from a nation's identity, from the identity of anyone, right? You cannot divorce culture. You can't tell Saudi Arabia, which is trying to become more cosmopolitan these days, कि यार पूरा का पूरा Islam भूल जाओ, everything, forget everything. You can't tell them that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. You can't. You have to have. There are limits to the libertarian ideology. Any country, you can't
Of course.
tell Americans to stop celebrating 4th of July or whatever the hell they do these days. Like these days, I don't know what they might celebrate their sex change or whatever. But it's you can't tell people to forget the cultural identity of their land. It just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, having said that, let's face one possibility, that let's face one fact, that BJP is not BJP is less evil because it's Hindu, is perhaps a bit of an oversimplification, in my opinion.
Then what would be the substitute?
BJP is good because better, less evil at any rate, because it has, it has a not, people look at pay too much heed to ideology. Okay, remember one thing: without Modi, the Sangh would have never been able to put BJP in power in 100 years, like the way it is. Without Modi, Amit Shah, and these kind of people. What characterizes Modi? I think nationalism, Hindutva, of course, these ideologies are there, but at the core, at the heart of it, he's a pragmatist. Pragmatism is what makes a leader from good to great. What makes a person from a politician to a leader. Okay, because this is the opposite. Some people think, yeah, ideology is there. Ideological leaders are always overrated. Ideological leaders never, they overplay their hand. They can't, do anything good even in the long run, because their ideologies always limit them. So, for example, Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump was America first too much in some ways, right? He overplayed his hand. He got messed up by the deep state, whatever.
Yeah.
If he, or whatever, I don't know. I won't comment on that too much. Look at any leader who has been ideologically focused, although there aren't many. That's the fun thing. Nobody has had a successful, nobody has had a career without blemish. Okay, it's only the ones who have been even look at China, like Mao. Look at Mao's reign and look at Deng Xiaoping's reign.
Yeah.
Like when it came to Deng Xiaoping, he was he's much more essential to China's growth story than Mao was. If Mao was in power, I don't think China, the CCP, would have been in power for so long. It would have broken down, right? So ज़्यादा ideological leader hota to it wouldn't have lasted. Deng Xiaoping embraced the global capitalism and played nice catch with the US. There's some noise in the background.
Audrey Trashcan's mic, I think. Oh, okay, she's turned it off.
Yeah. So so look at it this way. Look at the best example of a pragmatic leader apart from Modi is Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore.
He was a socialist. He wanted to be a socialist dictator.
He wasn't a socialist dictator. That's the weird thing. Like, he wasn't a complete socialist. So he was pragmatic enough to have elections. Elections mein, so as far as I know, in Singapore, if you don't vote, you have to pay $500. Okay, there's a fine. Yes, you have to vote. There's almost 100% attendance in Singapore elections. Number one. Number two, he put like drug dealers and everyone to, like, he just killed them. He
Yeah, yeah,
didn't kill them per se. He like put them on trial, and either he whips them or he hangs them or whatever. He put all these laws, like strict laws,
yeah,
but he didn't make it a socialist utopia, so called. Right?
yeah.
He
And even recently, that NRI guy, that not NRI exactly, but Indian descendant guy got hanged to death. He was a very poor person, dealt like very little amounts of drugs, but got hanged to death,
yeah,
executed.
precisely. So the point is that it's about a pragmatism that a leader brings to the table.
Yeah.
It's not about ideology always.
Actually,
And
see,
honest,
ideology. Yeah, yeah. Go on.
yeah,
Finish your point.
I mean, yeah, you could say Hindutva and all that. Like was Savarkar not pragmatic? He was
Yeah,
pragmatic in some way.
he was the king of pragmatism in Indian politics, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. In that sense, see, like his maybe he wasn't successful per se because
Hmm.
he was pretty unlucky. If you watch the movie, you'll understand or whatever.
Hmm.
But if he had like देखो, if he was very rigidly ideological, he said, I will never talk to Lenin because I am pro Hindu. Lenin is pro anti religion, anti whatever, India or
Hmm.
whatever, right? मैं लेनिन से बात नहीं करूंगा, ऐसा नहीं
Hmm.
था. He told Subhash to go and go with Rajbihari Bose and fight the British in a different way. He said,
Hmm.
join the army, join the British army. He
Hmm.
wasn't even like, British army mat join karo, British army are horrible people,
Kharab
or like
army, Gora army.
Gora. हाँ, ये सब नहीं बोला था. So he was a pragmatist. He would
Hmm.
have, it's just he was unlucky, and of course, because I think the British knew how pragmatic he was, they
Hmm.
locked him up even more.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So
The Janki Bakle book basically explains that it was at that point in India, Joto Ghosh, Savarkar Ghosh. Anything, anyone, anything that does anywhere in the four corners of the country, blame Savarkar and put him in jail first and foremost. He gets
exactly.
arrested for the absolute random things every time.
Yeah.
And
I
let us not
think
forget
he's
that
got this
ideology, in
Rajnet
essence.
trying to join.
Okay, yeah,
She's got.
Madam Political Scientist, do you have a point here? Hello.
She's not in the chat. I can't see her.
Oh yeah. Now she'll be
Yeah,
audible, I think. Yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry, I got disconnected.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
no, I just had a small point to make. That is, I believe that it depends on what kind of ideology you subscribe to. So, for instance, you mentioned Mao and Deng.
Hmm.
Now, either way, even if you say that Deng was the one who brought about the real development, it's
Hmm.
not like Deng was devoid of ideology. Deng
Hmm.
also believed in some kind of ideas or the other. He was not empty of ideology. So
Hmm.
even if you even if you believe that pragmatism lies at the root of all goodness, but even then
Hmm.
pragmatism also is informed by some variety of ideology or the other.
Hmm.
So yeah, well, I don't think we can really escape ideology per se. Maybe we can
Hmm.
escape communist ideology or Hindutva ideology. Specific ideologies we may be able to escape, but
Hmm.
even then we are only escaping into some other kind of ideology or the other.
Hmm.
So
Perhaps. And the thing with ideology is that was my next question anyway, that ideology in essence is actually at the end of the day just a theory, right? And like Professor Kaushik Gangopadhyay points out, that Hinduism is not a theory based identity, it's an empirical evidence based identity. Whatever is happening around you, you change according to that. Whereas theory based identities create problems, that no, at any cost I will stick to my theory no matter what happens around me. And therefore that kind of ideology always comes with a lot of emotions. You are stuck, you are married to an ideology because of your emotions, right? So therefore an ideological politician will in essence always be, will by extension be emotional, too emotional to function.
Well, maybe there's a fine balance when it comes to people like Modi ji and maybe Lee Kuan Yew. Even it's about what your end goal is, I guess. Like if your end goal is that your Italian mom and you will enjoy vacations forever on our taxpayers' money, then well, you achieve it by stealing National Herald and all that.
Hmm.
But if your ideology is to see your country surpass every other country economically, socially, whatever, then that's what you try to do.
Right.
uh, so I guess pragmatism is a method.
Hmm.
What your end goal is will be determined by how you view the country, and in that sense, you see, libertarianism doesn't really work even in that angle. See, because the vision you might have for your land, uh, that vision won't be there to guide you if you're a libertarian. I don't know, like what does Javier Milei want? That's a question, right? What does Javier Milei really want
He
at
is
the end?
actually not that libertarian as libertarians want their politicians to
Yahi
be,
to,
because
yahi
he's
to.
he's even against abortions.
हाँ
So
तो
he is just a free market politician who wants to keep government as small as possible.
हाँ, because he knows that government matlab they will eat up all your resources
Hmm.
without
Yeah.
giving it to people. So
Yeah.
that's why, in a sense, he's also a pragmatist.
Yeah.
But
Oh, the
that's
the
what I'm saying.
only the one counter that a libertarian would repeatedly give to you all, or to all your arguments, is that the libertarian is not going around telling you to believe something he believes in.
No, well, yeah, that makes sense. But then that's why nobody takes them seriously. So sorry to say, but
Okay,
uh,
I just have one question for libertarians. Are they do they care about the larger country or simply their own tiny plot of land?
Yeah, on tiny plot of land, and the country is, of course, in different degrees of libertarianism.
Yeah.
A thing. It may not be a thing for many libertarians, those anarcho-capitalists. But at the end of the day, the one thing that libertarians all agree upon is that if at all there is a state, the state must just stick to protecting life, liberty, and property
Yeah.
of
So
the
in
people
that case,
in that nation.
yeah. So even in that case, the state would have to generate some kind of revenue in order to retain the army that will protect the life, liberty, and property of the people in that nation. So
Yeah,
either
but
way,
not so much.
right.
As far as police stations go, the government need not do anything, because a local neighborhood can have a subscription model for a private army, and different people can subscribe to their own versions of police. One will be better, one will be bad, but we won't have this uniform pot-bellied police officers who tell you that I can't come to arrest anyone right now.
But I'm talking more about the army rather than the police. I
Yeah,
have
centrally maybe.
problems with the police as well, but
Hmm.
the army that is protecting our borders,
Yeah,
that army is also sustained with taxpayers' money. And if
yeah.
libertarians had their way, there would be no taxpayers' money to
No,
sustain the army with.
that's just the state protecting life. So army would not be that big of a problem.
Okay. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, they would need the state, even if in a minimal form, they would
Yeah.
need the state to protect
Life,
their
liberty,
tiny plot
property.
of land. Yeah.
Even the country's life, liberty, and property.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
at all there is a state. Otherwise, no state.
Yeah.
And
देख देख रहा है विनोद कैसे आर्मी का दुहाई देके लिबर्टेरियनिज्म चलाना है.
yeah. And as far as Dhruv Rathee goes, he is not really being followed by people who did not know anything about pre 2014 era India, really, right? He is followed a lot because of his look, his T-shirt, the way he produces his videos, the way his physique is, all those unknown things that people latch on to as a viewer, and those really at play here, not really just Dhruv Rathi's content. If Dhruv Rathee tomorrow wears an orange kurta or a grey kurta and those Johor coat, okay, galaband and all, his half his audience is going to go away. At least the below 25, below 20, all those kids watching him won't watch him anymore. And especially if he speaks in Shuddh Hindi or something. A lot of it has to do with his packaging.
So it has to do with the bad taste, really, because it just means you
Yeah.
really like to look at malnourished people, yeah, or apparently malnourished people. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
he comes up across as that young college kid, so it's like like listening to a guy to a friend.
No,
yeah,
so the problem with Dhruv Rathi is that he's you see, the biggest issue that anyone can have with him is he's a hypocrite, right?
Hmm.
He will tell you a historical fact, and uh, he will then conveniently obscure certain other facts that could be brought up.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's the thing. You can't really predict where Dhruv Rathi's allegiance lies till he opens his mouth, and okay, my face got revealed by mistake, by the way. So
Yeah, I'll cut out that part at the end of the live stream.
thank God. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Um, okay.
Now,
I
is Dhruv Rathi really an ideologue? Do you think
oh,
he has any views, or he's just another paid employee YouTuber who people realize that okay, this guy can be paid to do things or say things?
I think he's just a free agent, and at this
Right.
point, he gets money from uh, he gets money from Congress and the left, and whatever German, whatever he has, right? So
Hmm.
it doesn't. The problem is that people take him seriously,
Hmm.
not just because of his looks and everything, but
Hmm.
because the average person has stopped reading.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
the average person does not care too much about what historical facts actually are, what they can entail, what it could what where uh, I'm sorry, I'm just a bit distracted by the live stream, by the comments. Anyway, sorry, it's just well kept secret lost in a day because of wrong click.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. No,
so
it's no one's going to be able to realize anyway with that 1 second. People are going to have to do a lot of like facial scanning, facial recognition software. All of that's
this
going to be required here.
this is my Tyler Durden moment. Anyway, so 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 Dhruv Rathi, the problem with most people believing him is he appears
Hmm.
to be knowledgeable, right?
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
now that's because he presents a ton of facts,
Hmm.
and in a nice graphics oriented setup and everything, right?
Yeah.
So the problem is that people have stopped reading. People have stopped uh, you know uh, trying to gather more facts on their own. They have the
Hmm.
internet, but
Hmm.
the internet has become less about exploring knowledge in the world,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's more about how to create how to uh, find what you're looking for in a convenient manner, right?
Hmm.
uh, so यार ये लोग नहीं छोड़ेंगे.
Now,
Anyway,
all of these are our viewers. Okay, they don't they are not actually going to do those things.
yeah,
They are
anyway.
being Dhruv Rathi at the moment. Now, what do you think of this alliance of Congress and CPIM now? What about those people who are now in CPIM who have seen those days of Congress, which we began discussing at the beginning of a live stream? What do you think goes through the minds of these people that okay, yes, maybe my neighbor, maybe my brother got killed by Congress, but now you see we have a bigger evil to prevent from coming to power? Is that the thought that goes through their mind? Because everyone in the ground level, those people are not really pragmatists, right?
I think they're even bigger pragmatists. These, especially the foot soldiers in West Bengal, at any rate, they don't waste a second in shifting allegiances when the
Hmm.
time comes.
Hmm.
Uh, because as we know, most of the TMC workers are ex-CPM workers. Most of the BJP workers of today are
True.
either ex-TMC or
Yeah.
ex-CPM workers.
True.
So I really believe that they are even more pragmatic than middle class ideologically bent people, because they depend on politicians for survival. Especially in the rural areas, West Bengal has been so tainted by politics that
Hmm.
even for bare survival they must connect with politicians. I think we had discussed this in a previous podcast, that
Hmm.
even in order to receive rations, in order to receive things that they're entitled to, people have to depend on political patronage. Okay,
Hmm.
so they have no choice but to be pragmatic about this. And I noticed a comment, I think either Praveen Singhania or someone, saying that socialism is after all necessary for the poor people. This
Yeah.
is something like that. Okay. Now I just wanted to tell that person and everyone else who's listening that welfare is something that precedes socialism. Socialism as a Marxist ideology is a fairly recent phenomenon which came about after Marx theorized on it, right? But doing welfare for the general public, for the poor people, that is a Kshatriya virtue that existed since the beginning
Yeah.
of human politics, okay, since
Hmm.
the beginning of Rajniti. So, uh, therefore, let's not conflate welfare with socialism per se. Socialism
Yes.
is not just one fare, but no, sorry, not just welfare, but also uh, complete control of the state. Okay,
Hmm.
so like I'll tell you, there is this very good book by James Scott called
Hmm.
Moral Economy of the Peasant. In
Hmm.
that book, he begins by showing that in peasant society, and this is pre-capitalist peasant society. So of course,
Hmm.
it is pre-communist peasant society as well. So in
Hmm.
peasant society, and his area of research is mainly Zomia, which is a combination of some parts of Myanmar, some parts of India, China, that area, northeastern
Hmm.
India, that area. So he
Hmm.
says that in peasant society, it is customary for the wealthier landowning peasants to actually hold feasts and do some form of welfare or the other to ensure that the poorest of the poor peasants manage to survive.
Hmm.
So it is an unsaid rule, an unsaid norm or convention in peasant society
Hmm.
for the wealthier people to ensure that the poorer people don't die of starvation.
Hmm.
Because if the poorer people go on the brink of starvation, there is also the possibility of rebellion. So
Hmm.
even if for their own selfish purposes, not for altruistic reasons, but even for their own selfish purposes to retain their own status, political power, whatever you want to call it, it is
Hmm.
customary for wealthier people to take care of the poorer people.
Hmm.
And this is welfare. And you can find welfare not just in pre-capitalist peasant society, but also in democratic capitalist society, even in
Hmm.
modern society, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need socialism to get welfare. The same mistake that
Yes.
your friends make about the Nordic countries. Okay, the Nordic countries, their policies did not discourage private businesses. They taxed private businesses, they taxed income earners, but that doesn't directly make everything into state property.
Hmm.
So you would need capitalist development in order to have welfare.
Hmm.
So you don't need socialism in order to have welfare. If anything, wherever socialism has been tried accurately, accurately in the sense accurate to the theory, um, poor people have starved even more because the
Yeah.
state has taken complete control over the land. All the
Hmm.
produce of the land goes to the state. So starvation has actually increased under socialism. So
Yeah.
socialism doesn't help the poor.
Yeah.
It is welfare which helps the poor, and we must distinguish between these two things. Welfare has
Yeah.
always existed and will continue to exist regardless of socialism.
Yeah. Ma'am, can you respond to this comment by M. Shastri? What was the book written by Tariq Tachil that you referred to?
Yeah, it's elite parties, poor voters.
Okay. Now, the interesting thing in Arthashastra is that Chanakya repeatedly keeps talking about something called Yogakshema. That has been translated to the word welfare. Now, welfare, Yogakshema means generally doing everything that's good for the people. So good for the people can mean giving them Lokir Bhandar or building a flyover for them or anything that the government does. So do you think the only mistake that communists, socialists, Gandhian socialism, or Ramrajya, Gandhian Ramrajya, all of those things went to hell? Could they have worked if only they had let go of their obsession with equality of outcomes? That seems to be the only problem. Otherwise, everything that even Gandhi said could be argued that yeah, Chanakya asks for the same things, kind of, more or less, because Chanakya is also not for a complete libertarian society. He's also, because we once discussed a paper sent by Niner here, where during Chanakya's time, in the Bangladeshi place called Mahasthangarh, which was sort of a vassal state under it was an administrative unit under Mauryan Chandragupta Maurya's empire. Okay, and there has been some floods, and Chanakya is sending food grains, and the stamp, sort of a government document, has been found, a clay tablet, almost fossilized. And the directive is to the local people who are governing that region in Bangladesh, that they are saying that, see, this region has been damaged heavily by the whatever natural disaster recently happened, and here you take a lot of free grains at the moment. You return when you can, when you are back on your feet. So that's I guess welfare. At that moment, we can't wait for a private company to take up the job, or maybe at that point of time in 300 BC especially, no one could have waited for the private enterprises to take up these things. But Chanakya never obsessed about equality. Anyone who obsesses about equality, or gives so much lip service of about equality, or ends up believing in his own bullshit about equality, then seems to screw things up. Then his model completely falls apart. Do you think there's a problem with the idea of equality?
I agree with you, but I believe that it is not. You are reducing it down to one point, that is equality of outcome, as the real problem.
Yeah.
I feel that is one of the problems. Okay. Besides equality of outcome, there is also the issue of the vampiric nature of the party, the need of the party to keep sucking blood and growing bigger and bigger. Okay. This need for self-aggrandizement of the party, which is prioritized over needs of the people. That is one more problem. If we go deeper, we will find many such problems. Greed and basic human greed, things like that, will always keep coming up. So equality of outcome is, of course, one huge problem, because it is downright stupid. It is downright illogical, and impossible to achieve without bloodshed, without atrocities. Besides that, there is also the generic greed and the self-aggrandizement and things like that, which will also add to the the poishachik nature of the party, turning the party into this monster that needs to feed on the people in order to survive.
And
But
where
yes,
is
equality of outcome is a factor, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Sociologist, what do you think of equality?
Equality is overrated. I mean, honestly, after my face reveal today, I don't know how much you can take my words seriously. Mera, this is, I don't know. Anyway, but yes, equality in itself, and I've thought quite a bit about this. It's impossible to achieve in any form, right? Even equal access to resources and stuff, equal access to opportunities, this kind of thing is overrated in every way, in every society, right? If you read Bourdieu and all, like there's always going to be a great connection of you currently achieving something based off your birth-based privileges and stuff. And this happens in every society, not just India and all, right? So the problem is, I think, that equality itself, to achieve equality, was a goal that was amongst certain people, certain activists and politicians who were fighting against feudal regimes in Europe. Okay, so these guys were obsessed with it because the nobility had a lot of rights and freedoms and money compared to the average people. And these were institutionalized by the state and enforced heavily. So yes, that forced people to think too much about equality. That became an aim to achieve. But now that's like, it's like if Sachin Tendulkar continues to keep batting in the middle of a night, like he just raises his arm and starts batting. Tumhara career abhi, as a batsman, your career is over essentially. Okay, you had your time, you did everything on the field. But imagine if he's going on doing it till he's dead. Okay, and he bats, like you ask him for a glass of water, he shows you the batting sign, right? So it doesn't mean anything once its era has gone. Now they have forced this into every other society, and with disastrous effects that need not be elaborated further. But the point being that, if equality is so great, then why has it not been able to been achieved in any society? Nobody has been able to achieve it ever in any form of government,
Yeah.
Not
and
just in
nobody
society, it's not even achievable in nature. It's not natural.
Yeah.
Not even in the same plant will you find two flowers being exactly the same.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If at all we are talking about just financial outcomes, let's say wealth or income, even that is impossible. But I think if at all that is some in some future year actually done, then they will come up with other ways to apply more equality and destroy the state further, because the only way you can be equal in terms of finances is if you are equally poor, like Sudan maybe. Everyone in the country can't go around riding Teslas, maybe because Tesla is a useless car in 2132. Only then can everyone ride Teslas. Only equal poverty is possible. Equal anything else is not possible.
Yes, and wherever communism has been tried, that is where it started with equal
Yeah.
poverty.
And
Because
Mr.
equal,
Yeah,
yeah,
go on.
success is, I mean, equal success is just impossible because various, people will have various capabilities. So it's
Yeah.
just impossible to expect equal success. So the only way out, if you really want to impose equality, is by imposing equal poverty.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Sociologist, as a sociologist, as someone who has studied sociology for so many years, what do you think? What are the different factors that goes into the success of a person? This is a bit of a philosophy and psychology question as well. But what can you share with us from your academic background?
well, there's one thing about cultural capital, right? So
Hmm.
look at Jews, look at
Hmm.
Hindus, wherever, and particularly Brahmins and other upper
Hmm.
caste Hindus,
Hmm.
wherever these two groups go, no matter
Hmm.
how poor they are, if they go to the US, if they go to other countries,
Hmm.
they usually end up in privileged positions, because there's a high probability that they have the cultural capital
Hmm.
to acquire more degrees and more, skill based skills that are essential in the knowledge economy,
Hmm.
in the online economy, in the more digital economy, right? So
Hmm.
they are able to leverage those skills every time, like, look at the Jews were, whenever they were, like, attacked and whatever, they just moved to a different place and they did well in those places as well. They
Hmm.
became doctors, engineers, lawyers, businessmen, industrialists, whatever. Now look at
Hmm.
Hindus, like, look at Brahmins. They even Ramanujan. Look at this guy, the Ramaswamy. All these people, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
many. These are just two, three names. Like, there are many.
Hmm.
So whenever you cultural capital is not a Marxist concept. Cultural capital is a Bourdieusian concept. Okay, so cultural capital is different from economic capital. For Marx and Althusser and all these people, economic capital is the ultimate determinant of your position in society and everything.
Hmm.
But Bourdieu is saying that, he's saying that there's not just one type of capital.
Hmm.
Imagine if you belong to a very respectable family in an area,
Hmm.
then that is also a kind of capital. Sometimes
Yeah.
a dominant caste person, a person who is who comes from a very famous, powerful family, or not even powerful, just very highly educated and all, they
Hmm.
may not have a ton of money,
Hmm.
but they will enjoy a ton of respect in the society, in a
Hmm.
locality, right? So
Hmm.
imagine a doctor who treats patients, very poor patients and all.
Hmm.
He may not be very rich, but he will have a
Yeah.
ton of cultural, he will have a ton of symbolic capital,
Hmm.
which is coming from cultural capital. Okay,
Hmm.
now that's the thing. This is what Bourdieu says, that this is different from Marxist concepts of just economic capital, right?
Hmm.
So that's the thing. This is how we can say that there are always going to be inequalities in society, but that doesn't. I don't think Bourdieu is saying that, beat up every person who's privileged and take everything. That's not the
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
Bourdieu's formula, I believe, even allows for a certain ability to be. So imagine if there is a very good online program for
Hmm.
English right now, which
Hmm.
is which is very cheap and distributed by the government, and the government, there's a change in government in West Bengal, and
Hmm.
whatever of a government comes, they teach people English properly.
Hmm.
They undo what CPIM did, right?
Hmm.
Then there's a big possibility that they can reverse this, what the damages that CPIM did. It's always possible to learn English again, right?
Yeah.
So that's the cultural capital that's going to give poor people the edge over the rich.
Hmm. Now, what do you think of the viewer's argument here, who is in our comment section? We debated the argument that it was not really that big of a deal not learning English back then. He argued basically 2-3 points that the English, not learning English was not big a deal. People learned it anyway because it's a pretty easy to learn language. And secondly, it was his argument that CPIM probably had to allocate resources properly, so they prioritized science education over English. So, which is why we have today many Bengali science professors all across the country with maybe a bit of a bad English pronunciation. That's all. Is that a fair argument?
No,
Because the cultural capital question would be on one side of this debate.
see, the present present day economy
Hmm.
runs on skills, soft skills, or things that you can, whether you can program, whether you can understand how a computer works. Even look at academia, right? Like
Hmm.
you can read a very good paper or a book in any subject, but most
Yeah.
of the good stuff will be in English.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to not know English and do
Hmm.
well in the information economy.
Hmm.
It is practically impossible, I would say.
Hmm.
Okay.
And one more point. I think he's
Hmm.
simply giving an excuse on. It's pretty obvious he's giving an excuse on behalf of CPM, because are you seriously telling me that they dropped English from middle school or primary school and replaced that with science teachers? Like what like class 1 থেকে physics পড়াচ্ছিল? Did they
No, they
teach?
didn't have any more extra
What
money,
rubbish.
so they had to choose between some subjects, so they chose
Oh
English.
my god. This is such a huge, stupid excuse and lie, because that's simply not true. It's not that they didn't have extra money, that's why they stopped English teachers from,
No,
doing their
actually, he said
job.
that as a result of cutting down the English department, many more schools came up. CPIM prioritized quantity over quality.
What? That's also not true.
Hmm.
That's also not true. It's not like, are you seriously telling me that by stopping English teacher salaries in, I don't know, 50 schools, you can set up 50 more schools? What logic is this? How much does an English teacher earn that with that salary you're going to set up a whole ass new school? This is such a not a well thought out excuse either. If you're going to give an excuse for fascist parties, do a little bit more homework, because you will need it. Because fascist parties are going to make it difficult for you to give excuses. So
No,
you got to
in,
work a
in
little
in
harder.
in his defense, I think that
What defense?
no, I'm just saying, it's in the defense of Buddhadev Bhattacharya
Yeah.
archives. Okay. Sorry, unofficial.
Hmm.
I would say that he maybe he's trying to learn more. I think he was on the side of the left earlier, and he is now more open to ideas, different kinds of ideas. So
Now,
No,
M.
no, he may be
Shastri's
a very
point
good human being, but the thing is, the excuse he
Hmm.
gave was very bad. I'm sorry, you're a very good human being, Buddhadev Bhattacharya. I even like the real Buddhadev Bhattacharya because he was better than Jyoti Basu. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you have to come up with better excuses, or just shift sides, come over to our side, we are better. So yeah, M.
Yeah.
Shastri, you were
This is
saying
what
something.
libertarians always say, that it is not about the intentions or the personality of the person in power, so don't give them so much power with the hope that they will do good things for you. This reminds me, I was getting the news that some Trinamool MP candidate this time around is saying that once they are in power, they will make that person, he or she will make a great animal hospital in their neighborhood. Okay. and that person has great reputation among their friends. So their friends have been going around saying that, yeah, this is a great thing that's going to happen in their locality. I had to tell them that, Arey, it doesn't even matter what the intention is. They will, maybe that person will allocate 50 crore rupees. You'll immediately see a 20 crore house come up in the house of the local Trinamool councillor, or the gundas. Even they will get 5 crore 10 crore houses each, and the animal hospital will be a dilapidated ruin. It will look like a Mohenjo-daro artifact. So intentions don't matter at all here. That is what people don't get.
No, and honestly, animal hospital the chori the humans hospitals don't work. Like normal hospitals don't work in West Bengal anyway. So,
Yeah,
and you're right.
and
There's absolute corruption, and you can't. My other point is that okay, yes, such failure of socialism, such humongous failure of socialism, does lead to more demand for maybe libertarian ideas.
hmm,
But I sympathize with the logic, particularly if you've grown up under CPIM, you would know that, right? You would think like that. But the
hmm.
point is that even then, we will never reach a stage where we have a completely libertarian government in India. I don't think it is possible. Okay,
Javier Milei is
India,
possible.
Javier Milei is perhaps the closest we have, and I think Narasimha Rao and other
The
pro market people.
अरे
What happened?
व्हाट प्रो मार्केट आईएमएफ सेड के ओपन करो मार्केट नहीं तो जाओ घर हाउ इज दैट हाउ डज दैट मेक हिम अ प्रो मार्केट गाय what was he doing before coming out of going into
No,
retirement?
no, he was a socialist. I agree
Yeah,
with you. My
so was Atal
point,
Bihari Vajpayee, but he was he could have been the Lee Kuan Yew if he came back to power once more.
yeah,
Do you know Sitaram Goel talks makes brutal fun of Atal Bihari Vajpayee in his entire book in How He Became a Hindu. That Atal Bihari Vajpayee was such a staunch socialist, such a staunch Nehruvian. Although Sitaram Goel, being the genius academic he is honest with his criticism as well. He says that maybe
yeah.
he was doing this because he was afraid that RSS might get banned again, so he had to keep Congress happy. So maybe he was doing that, but he was very annoyed with him anyway. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, in fact, got Sitaram Goel fired basically from writing weekly columns in Organizer.
No, so the thing is that if I agree with you on many of these points, the point is that even then we can never, like, can you imagine, we can never have anything close to libertarianism in India. Perhaps what we can have is a more informed electorate. That's the closest we can have to any kind of progress in this country, and
Okay.
that's where internet works. I think the internet is very important for facts and discourses to
Hmm.
exist that are
Yeah.
different from the mainstream.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Three.
just
If in order to pursue this intentions versus execution thing, or whether libertarianism is possible at all, we are not going to discuss libertarian especially libertarianism here, but we're getting somewhere. uh, if you were the dictator of India and you were allowed three modifications to the current laws, okay, what would you do? Let me start with my ideas. I would go for absolute free speech, but that would be backed up with absolute freedom to own any guns you want, because the police can't protect you for your speech anyway. If you say something, it might be legally it might be a legal thing to do, but someone's going to try to kill you anyway. And of course, complete end to reservations. What are the three things you would do?
well, now that my face is revealed, I'll say yes, socialism, socialism, socialism. But no, jokes aside, I don't I have always oscillated in different directions, because at one point of time I used to think that um you know I used to think that privatizing everything is a very good idea. Then I saw in some places that privatizing everything may not be a very good idea. So I am all about, nowadays I think that we'll take a problem and we try to solve it with the best intentions. That is all I have. And uh it's that's the problem. Like, if it depends on a guy, one or two leaders, three four leaders, who may not be winning in every election. Like right now, Modi is poised to win. That's great, but uh, what happens to 20, 15 years later, right? That's the thing. But that's why we need a very educated electorate. I will not say any point, because the problem is I myself don't believe a bunch of things that maybe I impose. I used to think maybe 15 years earlier or 10 years earlier, or even 4 years earlier. Okay, so I have no nothing to suggest in that sense. I will just say centralization of police is essential. Holding the police accountable for their actions is essential because of my experience in West Bengal. The police, if the police must exist, they must serve the people instead of serving local ministers and.
Yeah, I'm about to ask you the CRPF question now, so hold your thought. But let me just ask Madam Sociologist for her 3 dream modifications to current Indian laws that she would like to do.
So I actually, I almost 99% agree with your ideas of the right to protect oneself, even with firearm. But the 1% of me that is still in a dilemma is because then would we be turning our country into yet another Pakistan or yet another US, where gun laws are so free that everybody owns a gun and people can go around shooting each other whenever they want. So that part of me is still a little skeptical. But I believe that if sensible people owned guns, because what happens ultimately is the criminal lot anyway have the right to fire, not right, they have
Yes.
access to firearms.
Yes.
The criminal lot anyway have access to firearms. Meanwhile,
Yes.
ordinary people like you and me remain like the sheep in front of the wolves.
Yes.
So therefore I believe that if ordinary people had the access to firearms, the right, a legitimate right to it, then might make things better for us.
And
So yes, I
USA's
agree
gun laws are 191 years old, and the and the overall family rate of owning guns has been exactly same, just between 42 and 45% in the US for the last 70 years. All the problems you are seeing is happening only in the last 10-15 years, and gradually sharp rising. The graph is like this. That's absolutely because of the mental health mafia, nothing else.
Yes. So I actually, sorry, I hadn't actually considered the mental health mafia part, but yes, you're right. And of course, that would aid in our freedom of speech. That also I agree.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me, my personal little addition to whatever I agreed with you on is that I believe that the BJP has already accomplished that. That is, licenses or rather regulations in the sector of production rather than in the sector of sale and distribution. So what I mean to say is there are 2 ways in which you can regulate the market. One is by restricting sales. One is by restricting or rather taxing sales and distribution and exchange, right? So you say that you sell more than this amount, you have to pay a higher tax, something like that. Or you simply restrict sales beyond a certain point, which is similar to maybe, or you restrict production itself. You don't allow people to get into a certain kind of business, which is what Nehruvian license Raj had accomplished, right? So that I think is a terrible idea. You restricting sales or restricting production itself is a terrible idea. But what I believe requires regulation is in the quality of production. So, for instance, this Modi government, they have instituted the REDA Act, which is a real estate act. So it ensures that the people who are buying the property, or sorry, it ensures that the people who are selling the property have done all the documentation correctly, so that people who are buying it, the consumers, are not cheated. So I believe that if you must regulate the private sector, if you must regulate the market, then regulate the quality of the product that is going into the market. Don't regulate the quantity. Don't regulate the production itself. Like, don't stop people from producing, but make sure that whatever they are producing is good quality, and then it goes out into the market. So to that extent, I am not a libertarian. I believe regulations are important and state intervention is important only when it comes to checking the quality of the products, not when it comes to selling the products. Let people
And
sell
that
as
is
much
where
as they want
India,
if the product is good. Yeah.
and that checking part is where India sucks at the moment. The
Well,
quality control is a
yeah.
joke.
Yes, in several sectors it is, but I
Yeah,
think slowly, this
yeah,
at least the central government is trying, and
yeah.
at least in term, because I recently had some transactions in real estate, so I had to
Hmm,
read up a little bit on this, and because my own work is to do with land to a large extent, so
hmm,
I had to read up a little bit on this,
hmm.
and I believe RERA is an excellent law,
Yeah, yeah.
which protects people like me, protects
Hmm,
the consumers. So
yeah,
because otherwise what will happen is, these illegal constructions will get made with low quality building materials. The building collapses and it's nobody's fault. Or
yeah.
the same guy can sell the same piece of land to 10 people, and
Hmm,
he can do such fraudulent transactions. Who's gonna hold him accountable? But if you have an
yeah,
act like REDA, then you can ensure that the seller is held accountable.
yeah.
So
The
to that
quality control in
extent,
terms of
yeah.
food products is where the tragedy lies
Yes,
at the moment.
yes. I guess if we continue to have leaders who care for the people, then I
Yeah.
have faith that may be changed as well over time.
Hmm. I wanted to respond to this question by Rohan. Acha Dada, when you support free speech, do you want to repeal Section 295A? Yes, absolutely. As well as draconian SC/ST acts, absolutely. Or you want the form? No, 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 absolutely. Both needs to be repealed, because if it's about hurting you with my words, that's such a big slippery slope. It can be applied to anything. And again, here also notice that at the end of the day, almost every politician from every political party, in their public rallies, does call for violence all the time. What is Khala Hobe? And Khala Hobe is not the first call for violence in the history of Indian politics, right? Khala Hobe is basically an indirect call for violence. What are you trying to say when you are saying Khala Hobe? Are you going to play a cricket match to celebrate the upcoming elections? What the fuck do you mean? You mean you are going to beat people up? And there's another famous sentence in Bengali that's usually said in every language in India, in fact, that if you do this, then whatever happens, that won't be my responsibility or our responsibility. Amra kintu dai thakbo na. That is a call for violence all the time. On top of that, you have 295A CST acts, etc. So if at all someone feels hurt because of my religious views, or even if I did become an evil upper caste person and said something evil to a lower caste person, suck it up, or say insult me back. You can't go to jail for everything.
Also,
And now,
Neerajan,
yeah,
one more point. You mentioned Khala Hobe and how
hmm,
it is a call for violence and not a call for, playing Kumidanga.
hmm,
Uh,
yeah,
the Let's not forget that Khala Hobe Dibosh is 16th
hmm,
of August, which was also the same day as Direct Action Day,
yeah,
right? So, which
yeah,
was also the day of massacre of so many Hindus,
yeah.
both in 1946 as well as
How
in
can this happen?
2021.
I don't understand the how of these things in politics. What was she thinking? Was this a coincidence? Is she really trying to dog whistle to Islamists? What is going on here?
Maybe I won't,
We
discount it.
remember we're all we all might get backlash
No, this
when
is
we
no.
the
Listen,
topic.
this is something that has already been declared. I think 16th August has already been declared as a Khala Habe Dibosh. We
Hmm.
also know that 16th August was already declared as Direct Action Day.
Yeah,
We are just adding two and two,
yeah.
or we are not even adding two and two. Two and two has been added for us. We are just saying equal to 4. What can we do?
Okay, Nina is saying Mamata Banerjee is an anarchist, and she is in fact an anarcho-capitalist. At times, remember, she said that we can't give DA because it will raise inflation. She was being Thomas Sowellian very much at that moment. Now, so Mr. Sociologist, in light of today's discussions of what Congress did with CRPF on CPIM party workers, what do you think of centralizing police forces?
No, I still hold the fact that centralizing police force doesn't mean you again. When I say
Intentions.
centralizing the police force, I don't mean that you make them Amit Shah's personal
Hmm.
property,
Hmm.
like the SS of Hitler, right? I'm not saying that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, no offense to anyone. I just used an example of a highly centralized police force in Germany.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that just like the election commission has certain laws and regulations that guarantee its relative, impartiality. Whatever said and done in a country like India, the way the election commission works is very impressive. Okay. Yes, you might have one or two problems with it, but let's face one fact: most Indians have faith in the election commission, that they know that when they're pressing a button, they know usually that that's the party they get to vote for. Okay.
Even if they don't say it, they actually believe it, because why else would they go to vote even?
Precisely. And even like Jaishankar, I think, recently said that Western democracies may even the highest voter turnouts are lower than the India's lowest voter turnouts, right? So if the election commission can work with in a relatively impartial manner, now ek do partiality ho jata hai, that's human error. Okay. Then the police can also be made to work, if not at that level of neutrality, but partially at least, like certainly better than what it is now. It has to be held accountable. Policemen need to be serving law and order, not their nearest political masters, right?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like we tried federalism, we have tried we're in a federal structure, but it seems that the federal structure has failed most people in West Bengal. If you live in West Bengal, if you lived in Tripura a few years back, if you lived in Kerala a few years back, if you lived in Bihar a few years back, most of the citizens were fearing for their lives. Okay.
Yeah.
That should not be the case in any democracy.
What?
Okay.
So,
The police-
is your argument then entirely based on the intentions of the current Prime Minister of the country or current Home Minister of the country?
No. Like I said, the election commission still does a pretty good job, no matter who is in power, right?
Yes. Yes.
It has learned from its past mistakes, and it has made if the election commission was biased, Modi would not lose so many elections. He has lost many elections.
Yeah.
By Modi, I mean BJP.
Yeah.
If the election commission was biased, then maybe Modi would not have ever been the prime minister, right? So election commission does its work. It says, yeah, you vote, I will count your votes, I will try to do it as impartially as possible. I will try to check your ID, I will do whatever I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the thing.
So are you saying that kind of beauty and niceness is going to be replicated by CRPF as well, or any hypothetical central police force?
Again, like this is all about trade-offs, right? Like what is worse? The possibility of you being killed just because you're against the government in a state, if the police forces are controlled by them, or you have the possibility of a police force being better regulated and more dekho, it's all about transfers and stuff, right? In police, like if you don't follow your local party or whatever it is, your state party, they'll transfer you out of Calcutta, they'll send you to some weird place, okay, with no resources, no money. So it's all about that kind of thing, right? Like make it more machine regulated, make the transfers more regular. Just like how the election commission works like clockwork. It works quite well.
Yeah.
Again, considering this country is home to 1.4 billion people.
What happens when Congress comes to power and BJP is in West Bengal? And BJP, before going out of power, made the law.
I am thinking about that contingency and saying that the police should be more neutral, just like the election. If tomorrow the Congress comes to power, it can't just kick out the election commissioner and say now there will be no more elections, right? The same way I am perhaps calling for that. I know it's a very ideal sounding, right?
Yeah.
And I thought about it, like if it's centrally controlled today, tomorrow if BJP is not in power, it can wreak havoc. Even the BJP can do stuff which is not fair, right? So given all that, my point is that perhaps the best thing for anyone to do is to hope that one day the central control over police force is effective and on the side of people and not on the side of netas. That's all. Like Yeah, main thing I see in West Bengal, I read West Bengal's history, political history, and the
Yeah.
one thing I see about it is the lack of police accountability. The
Was
lack
that, wasn't that the case everywhere in the everywhere in all states? Wasn't the police just the local gunda hand of the party in power?
of, but most states did not have a refugee influx for 30 years, and for almost 1 crore people entering out, and they did
Yeah.
not, most states of India did not have a communist government which ruled for 34 years
Yeah.
uninterrupted, right?
Yeah.
Most states did not get, and OB, see, and already West Bengal was the capital of British India, so in any way there was a history of the state repressive measures in West Bengal. So Bengal is unique in that
Hmm.
sense, right?
Hmm.
uh, that's why even if you could cure the Gundaraj in Bihar and Jharkhand and all, you could
Hmm.
not really cure it in West Bengal yet.
Hmm.
So my point is that, given the experience of people in West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, all these places, the like that's the only solution I can think of. Like, uh, yeah, well, that's it basically. The,
Hmm.
the 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 state of West Bengal is the worst example of federalism, I would say. Like a
Hmm.
state which is totally where the police can pick you up at any given point in time, can
Yes.
harass you literally, will not
Yeah. Even
listen to
Anis Khan of
yeah,
ISF died the same way.
who so many, not just Anis Khan, any
Yeah.
any anyone,
So
anyone
yeah, even
literally.
even Muslims are not safe from that.
Muslim Choro, Ambikesh Mohapatra,
Yeah.
anyone, like
Yeah.
Jadavpur ka professor, they just picked him up randomly one day. Huh?
Hmm.
You can't, none of you know the fear it is to live under a socialist, a communist regime like this, a North Korean kind of regime, like
Hmm.
we did, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, anyway, Mysterious Socialist and Generational Stockholm. I don't think Mamta Banerjee suffers from anything. I think she just wanted power and she did whatever she had to do to get that. Like, it's as simple as that. I think people make a big mystery out of it. It's nothing. It's just West Bengal is very inert political. Like there's an inertia in politics in West Bengal. Like people have a high tolerance for rubbish, and they do it. And because we've not had democracy, proper democracy, liberal democracy for almost 50 years now, people have forgotten what a democracy should look like. Okay.
When have they seen democracy? Because we just tracked from British government up till now.
Hmm.
They have only
So
seen
we have
political violence.
so we have not seen democracy. Like we're like Bale, we
Yes,
have seen the light,
exactly.
right?
Bengalis don't know what democracy is. They have never seen it. Not even people of Kolkata. Maybe up to, okay. Even in Trinamool era, even Kolkata is pretty screwed up. But those violences I was talking about, those were in Kolkata only theoretically. So
Yes, I
Bengalis have even never seen. They don't absolutely don't have the remotest clue of what is democracy. They don't know how it looks like. They don't know how it's supposed to function. And today you and I rattled a few feathers in the Bangla rock independence community by bringing up the caste question in Bengali stagnant music industry, where two Brahmins told you that no, there is no problem of only Brahmins being in every leading role, whether it's in academia, music, sports of meaning,
think
sort of Ganguly, everything.
that's the thing. Like people don't. You see,
I really
people
like that exchange
don't.
because it's going to trigger a lot of conversations in the minds of these people or whoever is going to read that comment
I
section.
hope so. I hope so. That's
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. We need to have a more informed group of people. We can perhaps, this is why I appreciate the internet so much. Apart from the fact
Hmm.
that it gives me so much information, that it can spread so much information.
Hmm.
If you have a slightly open mind,
Hmm.
perhaps you can change your outlook towards life completely because of the internet,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
This question seems to be for you.
what criteria handpicking, people use them as propaganda material, I mean, they spend a lot of money on these individuals. No, usually you will notice that there are family connections, like not everyone's a first generation academic. Most
Hmm.
people in academia who are doing really well right now, they have
Hmm.
a father, brother, uncle, somebody in the either the Communist Party or Congress, or some of them have been academics under the Communist Party or Congress. So it's very much a family thing. You for all their talk against the caste system,
Hmm.
these people very
Yeah.
much behave like a very closed caste system. They will not
Yeah.
allow newer people to think, talk, say what they want, right?
Hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
very it's caste छोड़ो, ये पूरा नॉर्थ कोरिया ही है. Academics is North Korea, which is why most of us
Okay.
hide our faces.
Yeah. Okay, then. This was a great discussion, Madam Political Scientist. Do you have any more points to add? Or the trash can? Trash can?
No, not really. I more or less agree with the things you said. That
Okay.
academia is like yet
There is one
another
more question, though.
control space.
Madam Political Scientist, would you take this question by Abir Zain?
What is the question?
When riots
Um,
happen or happened, didn't Hindus of Bengal mobilize to BJP votes like the rest of India? Or why didn't they?
Hindus of Bengal mobilized to BJP votes.
Hmm.
When riots happened in Bengal, you mean?
Yeah. Just like the rest
Uh,
of India, everyone else
yeah.
shifted to BJP. Why didn't that happen in Bengal?
Well, first of all, BJP did not have that wider base here, I guess, at that time. So riots have been happening for a while in West Bengal also. Even during the CPIM era, even during Trinamool era, there were some communal riots here. I think if I can name a few off the top of my head, there was the Boshirhat riot, there was the um, Dulagor riot. I think there
Hmm.
there were several, but um,
Hmm.
BJP didn't have a political base at that time per se. So
Hmm.
perhaps that could be a reason why it didn't automatically, shift people to a certain political affiliation. But I guess now that BJP has a base, I think we
Hmm.
can expect that the people who were the Hindu victims of those riots may be consolidating under that party for protection
Hmm.
or something now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take Avinav's question off topic. What to do with the foreign media and their biased outlook towards India? How can we overcome that? Most of the people writing for them are of Indian origin. Madam Political Scientist, what do you think of this question? I have my answer. I'll give it after you do it.
It's true. The people who are writing may be of Indian origin, but I just believe that your identity is not based simply on your birth. Your identity is also based on your perspective. So you
Hmm.
may have people of Indian origin who may not be loyal to India, whereas you
Hmm.
may have people of foreign origin who may have greater love for India, who may be loyal to India. So what really matters is the perspective with which you view the world.
Hmm.
That is what will determine your loyalty or lack of it. So
Hmm.
my solution to these foreign journalists and all, see, there was a point of time when they used to enjoy a great amount of legitimacy, but
Hmm.
over time they have actually started losing their legitimacy, especially with the rise of conservative YouTubers and conservative social media social media people, uh,
Hmm.
both in India and abroad, be it
Hmm.
Republicans, be it conservative people in Europe, be it conservatives in India. There has been a rise of these voices, and
Hmm.
that has led to the gradual delegitimization of these so-called big
Hmm.
journalists, because what these people do, what even people like us do, is
Hmm.
we question them i- very logically, and they are often unable to respond because you'll find many of them keep their comment sections off. Okay,
Yeah.
or you cannot directly confront them on Twitter. Okay, so
Hmm.
which really shows that they are afraid of competition. So the
Hmm.
social media is actually a very good playing field which levels the hierarchies to some extent, because
Hmm.
you are able to, you're able to be the David to their Goliath. But
Hmm.
so therefore, if you are really bothered about these Indian origin people who are writing against India abroad,
Hmm.
I feel that already there is a growing tidal wave against them, and this is a
Hmm.
genuine people's wave that is going against them. Okay, so
Hmm.
ordinary people, free thinking ordinary people are seriously beginning to question these so-called big shots.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think there is cause for hope already, considering these
Hmm.
things. And your channel
Yeah.
is actually one of those free thinking voices that is, asking the right kind of questions. But
Hmm.
if you really
Thank
want
you.
to challenge them, and if you really want to, confront them, in their own territory, in their own terrain, then why don't
Hmm.
you, try and reach there? You
Hmm.
can try and do that. Use
Hmm.
whatever means are at your disposal. You
Hmm.
know, start. I don't know, start studying more, start trying to get a job in that place, start trying to get a job in an alternative media house, something like that. There is
Yeah.
greater space for conversation happening now. So
Yeah.
don't lose hope.
Yeah.
That's my point. Don't lose hope. There
Yeah.
is uh, more space now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
M.
hear
Shastri has
your
a
answer?
Yeah, M. Shastri has a great question. We'll take it after I answer this.
Hmm.
How can we overcome that? Avinav, see, the very reason that those people are being given a voice is because of their academic credentials. So stop ignoring academia, stop ignoring liberal arts, stop ignoring social sciences, stop saying that who cares who gets these degrees, who cares about PhDs, who cares about what university they have gotten their degrees from. These people care. These people who hire these people, those newspapers care. Okay, so I would ask everyone, all of you, to not prepare for STEM fields, especially if you are from Bengal. Get into liberal arts academia and change the academia from inside, because humanities reform is one of the recurring topics of our channel. For that very reason, I think a lot of you all can contribute there. Now M. Shastri is saying that we are a country of bad ideas. How do we ensure those bad ideas don't get implemented by government in power? This is what BJP is let's say executing a lot of hilariously anti-men laws in the judiciary as well, right? Because they are not going to increase rape convictions by doing that at all. Because the main problem with sexual violence against women is that people who are in such situations where they can't report at all, those specific women are not going to report no matter how strong the law against the man is. All you need to do is, or the main thing you need to do is create situations where women don't feel the fear, and that is not an easy thing to do, because no country in the history of humanity has been able to do it, because there will be a lot of shame involved anyway. So instead of doing that, they are going on strengthening the laws, strengthening the laws against men. So that leaves massive room for misuse. Why are they doing that? Who has told these things to Narendra Modi? The academics, the policy people. So many socialists and commies are in the government even today, right? They have their academic credentials, they are getting listened to. That's why. So academia and humanities reform is the main thing to do right now. What do you think, Madam Sociologist, Madam Political Scientist? How do we ensure those bad ideas don't get implemented by the government in power?
I
Can we
feel
ensure?
yes. See, I agree with your point. We need to get into the belly of the beast in order to
Hmm.
change it from within, and
Hmm.
that requires a lot of hard work. It's not enough to simply, show our anger on social media or listen to some of our podcasts and feel more angry. Do something
Hmm.
about that anger. Channelize it. Use it
Hmm.
to get the right set of qualifications and reach
Yeah.
the right places, because
Yeah.
nothing is stopping us right now. We are living in
Yeah.
one of the more freer times in world history. So
Hmm. Yeah.
really, the world is our oyster. We can reach places if we want to. So
Yeah.
let's just not be lazy. Let's get to work
Hmm.
and try to reach places from where we can really start to make a difference in the legislature or other places.
Yeah.
And regarding the anti-men laws, I think the 498A is one of those laws which sort of almost incentivizes women to speak out against the husband, even if, and there are so many false 498A cases, but
Hmm.
we must also remember there's also that, I think there's a 498B case also, a B law,
Hmm.
which men can use against the abusive wives.
Hmm.
So there are laws which are protecting both genders. It's just that the society is still framed in such a way that we tend to hold a bias against a certain gender whenever it comes to abuse, domestic abuse. So and laws are a very important aspect, because if you have laws which incentivize victimhood, then that becomes a problem, because
Yes.
then victimhood will be either created or real. But the sad part is, like you said, the real victims often don't speak up,
Yeah.
and the fabricated stories, they delegitimize the real victimhoods as well.
Yes, since the time of Chanakya, our rape laws have never said that, oh, rape kya hai? Ka hai bhusi? Usko khelne do bachcho ko. That was never the law. So why were women always afraid to speak out anyway? So the law was never a problem to begin with. The society around the women, or the people around the women, were always a problem, and they're still the problem. So the law is not even a droplet in the ocean in this context.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for joining our live stream. Mr. Sociologist is still in the comment section. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Sociologist. Thank you. Good night, guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.
ऐगिरि नन्दिनि नन्दित मेदिनि विश्वविनोदिनि नन्दिनुते गिरिवरविन्द्य शिरोदिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवति हेशिति कण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते दुर्धरदर्शिनि दुर्मुखमर्शिनि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिनि शङ्करतोषिनि किल्बिषमो